You better come up with some pretty powerful right-wing ideology right now. It better be, slide it into your reviews somehow if you can.
That's his thing. I got a little bit of time left, so there was something else I wanted to go over. Should be fun. So it's been a while. I covered Russell Brand a while ago on the channel. And, you know, he's kind of a milquetoast. I feel like, I always felt like he was kind of a gateway to right-wing stuff, even though I never felt like he was actually right-wing, because he just kind of dumb, and, he honestly doesn't say much. I feel like lots of times, like, he has, like, he like, feels like he wants to do the right thing, but, like, he doesn't really say too much frequently, and ends up frequently having videos where he says absolutely nothing. And kind of recently, what I'm kind of realizing is that he's not, I don't think he's remotely as dumb as I think. So he just, like, okay, I'm a little bit confused, so this is a preview of him talking with the Critical Drinker, but was streamed 2 days ago. But we're going to go ahead and look at this. So this is why modern movies are shit now, with the Critical Drinker.
Going to be on YouTube, and that's going to be relevant to you 6.5 million awakening wonders over there, because you surely love the Critical Drinker, a man who has analysed and critiqued contemporary cinema with a perspective that you're unlikely to see in the mainstream.
I think we are definitely stuck in a rut as a culture when it comes to just relying on the past.
As you say, the motivation behind these IPs and these
Relying on the past. Critical Drinker, you always are talking about how things were better in the past, and now you're complaining because stuff is franchise-based from stuff in the past? Pick a lane, dude.
These franchise movies is no one's willing to take a risk.
What they lack with these modern characters that they try to do is that they're not willing to take that step of have them fail and be vulnerable and have flaws and weaknesses.
Plenty of characters have flaws and weaknesses. I love how he just says stuff without establishing anything.
We're going to talk about Sound of Freedom. Why is this movie causing...
Oh, he's pushing Sound of Freedom as well. God damn that movie.
So much controversy. I'm also going to start referring to the Critical Drinker by his actual human name, and I'm going to ask you to remove them aviators. Not yet, not while we're still on YouTube. Stay free with Russell Brand. See it first on Rumble. It is the Critical...
Oh my god, he's on Rumble? Oh my god, he is a right-winger. I didn't realize that. Holy shit.
Drinker, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, man. I can't believe it. I'm sandwiched right between Tucker Carlson and Ron DeSantis. I've got a lot to live up to on this one.
Wow, I didn't realize he had gone so wild. Like, wow, I didn't realize he was so wildly right-wing. Jesus.
You better come up with some pretty powerful right-wing ideology right now. It better be, slide it into your reviews somehow if you can.
That's his thing. Okay.
Otherwise, you simply will not fit in with the roster. Thanks for joining us, mate.
No, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on, man.
One of your most recent videos that
I will go ahead and say I thought Russell Brand was pretty funny in the Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and then the sequel spin-off movie. I thought he was decently funny in that as well.
I enjoyed watching was your analysis and review of the latest Indiana Jones movie. It seemed you kind of reached in a sense, a zenith of your analysis in itself, or what Lynch might call the duck's eye, the point within the point. It seemed to me that what you were saying is that our culture is incapable of coming up with new and novel and innovative content, and it's kind of like...
Well, again, Critical Drinker, look at more indie movies. Literally, just look at more indie movies, dude.
A Tomb Raider dragging cadavers from the soil, reanimating them, and then not even respecting them. Is that the essence of your perspective on sort of mainstream movies?
No, apparently this is a segment. Like, he streamed this, so I'm guessing maybe he recorded this and just streamed the video. Lazy fucking motherfucker. Just upload the video. But anyways, maybe, like, he was hoping for more active in the live chat. I don't know why you'd stream this, but apparently he streamed this. But yeah, it seems like he's posting stuff on Rumble, and he's having people on, like Critical Drinker, Ron DeSantis, and Tucker Carlson. It sounds like he's gone full right wing.
Movie franchises, and what do you think that tells us more broadly, if that indeed that is your perspective, Drinker?
I think that's wildly wrong, because that metaphor you just gave me would have at least been entertaining, unlike this movie. I think we are definitely stuck in a rut as a culture when it comes to just relying on the past and just like digging up old ideas, like you say, bringing back old.
Yeah, I like it. He's relying on the past while he does his knockoff Jack Ryan books.
Old characters, old actors, and just kind of humiliating them on screen and trying to use them.
Humiliating them on screen. Source? I'm gonna need a source. I didn't see Indiana Jones get humiliated at all. So I'm gonna need a source. Because that's the thing. Like, Harrison Ford is old as dirt in that fucking movie. But one thing they actually show is that even though he's old, he's in pretty fucking decent shape. And it was actually fairly believable when he's out there beating up people. So show me how he's humiliated whatsoever.
As this weird springboard to launch like a new generation of characters, but they're never any good. They're always unlikable idiots who just bore people to tears, and that's the fundamental problem. We've lost the ability to create new, innovative stuff. What we do now is just.
Well, I mean, that's not that we've lost the ability to do new stuff. It's that franchises make money, so Hollywood makes lots of franchise movies. Do your Ryan Drake. Your original character, Ryan Drake, who's not based on anything else. 100% original IP, Ryan Drake.
Reiterate the things that have been done before. And you can apply it to movies, TV shows, music, like anything. Like, we're just recycling the same things we've done so many times already. It's such a sad thing to look back on. Like, generations from now, they're going to look back on this time and just think of it as the time when everyone just lost their imagination. They lost their spirit of creativity.
It's very interesting that you take it to something as essential as the spirit of creativity itself.
It's Hollywood. It's franchises. Indie movies still exist. If you only watch Hollywood and franchise movies, there's actually still original stuff, but yeah, it's lots of franchises. If you don't want that, don't watch that.
Got young daughters, they're 5 and 6. Their favourite band is the Spice Girls. Like, we listen to the Spice Girls, and then like some other kids were getting dropped off at the school, like similar age. They were listening to the Spice Girls. There doesn't even something in the culture which I think at the time I would have certainly regarded as a sort of a commodity, even though it had a great deal of spirit. And there's aspects of the Spice Girls that I liked, details I certainly won't be going into right now. What I'd like to say is that it's odd that even something that's commercial.
So, Critical Drinker's argument is we're all living in the past and we need to get out of it. And Russell Brand's counter argument is, yeah, I love the Spice Girls.
You know, we're not talking about like Joan Jett. We're talking about the Spice Girls. Even like those kind of commodities aren't being replaced. And also with like Glastonbury, Elton John being the sort of closing act, it makes you wonder, well, where's it going to go? Now, do you think this is because of economics? Do you think it's because of technology, for example?
It's absolutely for the money.
It's been sort of oft stated that there isn't a new raft of movie stars coming through anymore. Like, is that because of the culture? Is that because of technology?
It's because movies are changing and franchises. It's not that deep.
And of course, I know those two things are inextricably linked, but what do you put it down to?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last movie star that we have still active really now that's relevant is
Tom Cruise. He's going to say Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. And like,
boom.
He's got Mission Impossible coming out soon. That's probably going to do really well this summer. Top Gun Maverick did great last year. But yeah, like...
I think I saw the projections on Dead Reckoning. It did well, and it's really good. I'm going to be talking about it on the podcast tomorrow. You guys should check it out. Really good movie. I think it is underperforming slightly what they wanted.
there's a problem now in movies, particularly.
That's an interesting point. There are no female action heroes behind him. I don't know. Is that one? I can't tell. Is that maybe Jill Valentine or Lara Croft? It might be. I can't tell. The one with a whole bunch of Claire on it.
Where we don't have movie stars anymore, we have characters that people are excited to see. So it particularly with comic book movies, with all this superhero.
Yep, comic book movies, sure, yeah, those will be characters that people are excited to see. What's your point?
Hero stuff. It'll be a case of, hey, we're going to go and see the new Captain America movie. We're going to see the new Thor movie. We don't care about the actor that's playing him, really. It's just like the character that we're going to see. And so that then doesn't translate into a star who can sell movies, who can.
Okay, you need to make a case for why that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just a different thing.
And get people to go to the movie theater and see his latest film. Back when probably you and I were kids, the dominant forces at the box office were like, oh, I'm going to go and see the latest Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
True. There weren't that many of them, but yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, true. Times have changed. You haven't made the case for why that's necessarily bad, though. It's just different. Again,
I'm going to see the latest Stallone movie, the latest Bruce Willis movie. All people like that, they were stars that could sell films just on their star power. We don't have that anymore. And it's the same problem with... Oh,
I just remember to do this. Guys, make sure to like this stream. If you're in there, like that stream. I want to see 33 likes on this at least. Like that stream. Subscribe. All the good stuff.
With films in general. We don't want to take the risk now of inventing new things because, one, movies...
Well, Hollywood studios have always been risk-averse and new things are risky. If you don't want that, then look at movies outside the Hollywood system.
These are massively expensive, and so they don't want to take the risk of investing $200-300 million on something that's completely unproven. And so all they'll do is say, well, what's a surefire hit? Well, I don't know. Star Wars used to be popular. Let's do that. Indiana Jones was popular. Let's do that. It's just...
Well, Disney did spend $4 billion on those IPs. So, yeah, they probably do want to do stuff with it.
Let's just keep recycling the things that older people remember. And two, we don't have the talented writers with...
Oh, we don't have talented writers anymore. We're sorry. All talented writers are gone. Sorry.
With really interesting life experiences that they can translate into scripts. And so they don't have the...
You got a source on that one?
Ability to create new things that are really interesting and cool.
It seems like Mark Hamill has almost been trying to publicly say that he don't like what the franchise has done to the character.
It's almost like Mark Hamill had a story about how he didn't like it initially, but then when he saw the finished product, loved it, and everybody's been trying to misconstrue it as if he hates it when he actually really liked it.
Of Luke Skywalker, that he personally feels offended and affronted by it. Sometimes it seems to me that you're driven by a kind of a...
Russell Brand is still doing his thing where he's saying nothing, but yeah, he's also adding some grift to it.
Love of narrative and story and almost like Joseph Campbell-like ideas of how a hero should function and what a story should do. I've got a few things I want to run by you. I used to think, it's like a little hypothesis of mine, that American movie stars somehow embody how they regard, how that nation in particular, and let's face it, it's still the nation that defines our planet, how it sees itself at a particular time. Like when it was Schwarzenegger and Stallone, it was a kind of rebooted 1980s America with heft and, and overt masculinity. Adam Sandler, who I did a movie with, actually, and who I think is a really interesting and brilliant performer and comic, and he, at a time when we were starting to learn, for example, that there weren't actually weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, Adam Sandler had this kind of, oh, shucks, I didn't mean it, kind of mentality that aligned neatly with an America that's trying its best and erring sometimes. Now, perhaps what we have is an America that doesn't know what it's trying to sell itself anymore.
He is jumping around a lot.
trying to present a kind of ethical and moral face to the world while clearly being backed by commodity. As you say, the motivation behind these IPs and these franchise movies is no one's willing to take a risk. You know, Matt Damon says like that, you know, you'd never get a Good Will Hunting type movies no more because no one will back a $30 million movie like that. They need to have IP behind them. But what I want to get into just before, while we're still on YouTube, before we leave YouTube, so do bear that in mind, Drink.
Oh, is he flat out leaving YouTube? Oh, or maybe this is a segment? I don't know.
That we're still in a place where censorship is possible, is how do we marry together?
Oh, so this is like the normal interview, and then he's gonna go to Rumble for the shit that YouTube won't allow. It's bad. It's bad when you want to say shit so bad that YouTube won't allow it, because YouTube allows some crazy fucking shit on here. It's insane.
The idea that you don't want movies all to be big, buff, white movie stars. You want diversity. You want good, like as a father of daughters, I want good, strong female character. I want strong female characters in movies, right? I do, for my girls. I want them to watch films and not always to be, it's just guys and blokes. And, you know, I want there to be diversity. But how do you marry that? What do you think is the concession that should be made to make movies more, for want of a better word, more diverse? Where do you stand on that, mate?
What is it like? Yeah, interesting points you've made there, because like when you talk about the stars of their different eras, like the 70s was like De Niro, Al Pacino, Dustin Hoffman, like the interesting character actors. You know, the 80s was the big buff muscle men. It was the time of like American.
Okay, you're getting close to it. It's almost like different time periods have different things.
Confidence. We're going to kick ass. We're going to dominate. We're going to do awesome. The 90s, it moved into like more, ambiguous, like slightly more vulnerable heroes. The 2000s was very much reflective of the war on terror. So there was a lot of, military themed stuff. There was a lot of thrillers. There was a lot of secret agent things going on. And then, you look at now, there's nothing. I literally just said.
We look at now. Well, you know, it's easier to look back on stuff and recognize the themes and patterns. And we'll look back on this decade and see themes and patterns as well. It's just not something we're going to know immedially.
There ain't no movie stars because, the country doesn't even know what it is now. It's in a conflict of identity. So I think it's a self-evident point of, it doesn't even know what it wants to be anymore. So that's kind of really sad to see, because we always, as a Brit, I always looked up to America as the model of the world. This is the country that leads us, the free world. But yeah, when it comes to marrying.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. He's a British guy who always talks about American movies. They make movies over there too.
What you talked about there, the rather than just having straight white guys as the movie stars, how do we include people of different genders, ethnicities, all that stuff? I guess what I would say, hey, we did it 20, 30, 40 years ago. We just didn't make such a big deal out of it we have.
Well, they didn't make such a big deal of it. We did it, but we didn't do it that much, and most of the time it was honestly tokenization. And didn't make a big deal out of it. I don't know what you mean. Are you talking about mentioning it on the red carpet? Because if you don't like those interviews, don't watch them.
Have to do now. And that's the thing that annoys people. That's the thing that turns people off. When you make the identity of the main character, the main actor, the sole focus of everything, people are just well, why are you making such a big deal of this? Why should I care about this? They used to just do it without having to make a big deal out of it.
I mean, he's talking about promotion, and if you don't like that, then don't watch promotion. Don't judge a movie on its promotion.
We talk about the great female characters in cinema. We have characters like Ellen.
Yeah, Ellen Ripley, Sarah Connor. Who else you got?
Ripley. She was an alien from the 70s. That's before I was even born. They got this right. You've got Sarah Connor from the 80s. Again, fantastic. Fantastic action hero, fantastic flawed character, really interesting. You had Trinity from the Matrix from the 90s. Like, they got all this stuff.
Okay, so you're okay with Trinity. Matrix, which is famously a trans allegory.
Right. They just didn't feel the need to make that the sole focus of these characters. They were...
well, both Sarah Connor and Trinity were also supporting characters.
Interesting characters first and foremost, whether they were female, whether they were women, whether they were black.
So explain how it's done poorly now, and explain it in a way that doesn't involve like the promotion of the movie.
Black, white, whatever, it didn't matter. That the main focus was that they were a well-written character. That's the difference. That's what we can't do now.
Yeah, it offends you.
Can you cite an example, please? Because there's always poorly written characters. No matter what decade you look at, you're going to find poorly written characters. Can you cite some examples?
Because it's, in a sense, hasn't got any art or care in it. So you're contrasting a character like Ripley from Alien or Sarah Connor from the Terminator movies with, say, an example off the top of my head, which I know will go over well on these platforms, Captain Marvel. And the way that Captain Marvel was kind of presented as a hero, it offends you, I think, because as I've said before, I'm a fan of your content, that you don't get to see a vulnerable character evolve.
Well, it wasn't so much Ripley was supposed to be a guy. It was that Ripley was written with no gender in mind. It was just Ripley. It ended up being a woman.
A vulnerable character learn lessons, a character that is flawed and has to overcome obstacles. In a sense, this is the function of story that precedes the medium of cinema, that we need to see that a character in position A at the start of the film is unable to achieve something, that by, they go through catharsis, challenges, whatever, and at the other side, they're able, and you think that this new idea...
Whoa, congratulations, Russell Brand. You just described an arc, which is what Captain Marvel goes through in her movie. Good job.
Ideology that's about presenting figures or characters in a particular way is unable to serve story and the function of story. Is that what you're saying, Drinker?
What's the fundamental thing, like you said, that gets you to identify with a character is you give a person that's somewhat likable, give them an obstacle to overcome and have them struggle to do it. They have them lots of things that get in their way, like they fall down, they pick themselves up, they eventually overcome. That is the fundamental essence of what makes you like a character and identify with them. It's so easy. It shouldn't even need to be said.
Captain Marvel did that. I'm just going to point that out. Give me an example of a character that didn't do that.
But what they lack with these modern characters that they try to do is that they're not willing to take that step of have them fail and be vulnerable and have flaws and weaknesses. Either because the writers don't know how to do it or because they've got this kind of prickly defensiveness when it comes to writing things like female characters, where they...
Female characters. I would love to get a drop of the Ferengi whenever they say female. The female... I feel like that's what I feel like every time they say female characters. It's like, the female, they let their females wear clothing. I feel like these chuds are so like that.
They don't want them to be perceived as weak. And so the only alternative they have is, well, they just have to be great at everything. And so they're...
Examples, please? You're just saying generalizations. Yes. Are there poorly written women characters? Yes. Are there poorly written men characters? Yes. When you get more women characters out there, what it means is there's going to be more women characters that aren't written as well. It comes with the territory. You can't just have like all good written characters universally all the time. Some will suck. Criticize those characters as they come up.
Brilliant at everything right off the bat. They have all the skills they need. They don't need to learn everything. They don't really have personalities because they don't have any like flaws or weaknesses. And the arc basically becomes them being amazing and being up here and the rest of the world having to learn to accept how awesome they are. And
he's not talking about Captain Marvel. He's talking about Captain America. Never mind.
Like eventually come up and accept them. There's no character arc there. It's just a straight line.
Okay, so what you just described was Captain America's movies. And that is actually another way to do an arc. It's not an invalid way. Like, characters don't always have to change. It just typically they do, because it's an easier way to do an arc. But Captain America's arc was famously that he didn't have to change, that the world had to change.
That people don't find that satisfying. That's the problem. That's why nobody watches these movies anymore. That's why the box office returns just go down and down.
Yeah, you're just gonna ignore the pandemic. We're not gonna talk about the pandemic. Listen, man, the returns are down since 2020 when theaters shut down to decide to be woke. There was no other reason why theaters shut down in 2020.
Yeah, because when we meet, let's take the example of Sarah Connor. We find her as a waitress, drifting through life listlessly. But down the line, we see that, this character is going to be a revolutionary figure that's met the challenge of knowing that she's carrying perhaps the most sort of significant thing that a character could carry, like the essence or a symbol for the future. Hey, listen, we're going to come off of YouTube now, and here are the reasons you should join us on Rumble.
You should join us on Rumble, because I'm a right-wing grifter now. God, I always assumed Russell Brand was just kind of a flake. I assumed he was actually a left-wing flake, but, kind of inconsequentially, incidentally, leading people to the right just by being a left-wing flake. But no, he's just a right-wing grifter now. This is kind of pathetic. And it's kind of sad to see him go that way. But it is what it is. So, that was a really bad interview. Critical Drinker says dumb stuff, but hey, I guess that's par for the course for Critical Drinker.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.